Welcome back. So, a few highlights of chapters 3 and 4. So, first of all, though, I wanted to say a little preface. Why Qigong for beginners? Why did I choose this name? Because at some point, I may even rename this book. We'll see. But why did I name it Qigong for beginners? Because this is not just it's not just Qigong, it's about mindset. It's about so many different factors of life, attitude, and different attributes that you may want to embody. It's a story of my life. But one of the reasons that I chose the beginner aspect is that I think it's very important when you are studying something to have a beginner's mind. And I was only interested in people who have beginner's mind because so many people feel that they already know what Qigong is, or they already know what karate is, or they already know what psychology is. And if you're one of those people, you're probably not going to like my work because my work is like Bruce Lee. He's a famous person, was a famous person that influenced martial art tremendously, and he had a very outside of the box kind of mind, and my mind is very much like that. Um, People did not like, many of the masters and teachers did not like Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee came along and started rewriting the script on how martial arts could be done and so on. He would take a little bit of this from this martial art and say this martial art has the best kicks, and then he would put it in his martial art. And then he would say, I take these punches and I'm going to put this in my martial art, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it in. And I did that in my own way. I was just looking to heal myself, and I was looking to create a tipping point in my own situation to heal myself. If we look at the eight brocades, for example, briefly, there's a teaching called the eight brocades. You could check out my video of it online. I do a free run and rendition of the eight brocades, but that's a very famous and infamous Qigong form. It's one of the most popular, second only unto, say, Tai Chi. Tai Chi is one of the most popular forms of Qigong. Well, this second form that I just mentioned, eight brocades, that was done by a particular general. And he went around, he found the best Qigong exercises for him that and for what he believed to be for his army. And he shared those eight exercises, and these are the exercises that he gave his army. And for both recovering from fatigue and injury and preparing for battle and all these kinds of things. And that form stuck for centuries because that was done in like 1630, I believe it was. And so it stuck around for centuries. So some people will just do what everybody else did. Okay, he did it that way, so I'm going to do it this way. Okay, that master always did it like this. Okay, Tai Chi, they always did it like this. Bruce Lee did it different. Anyway, I'm doing it different with Qigong because the form and the style of Qigong that I do literally comes from several different master teachers and things that I've learned along the way. Some of it I've learned from Qigong masters. Some of it I've learned from martial art masters who were teaching me Qigong in martial art class. Some of it were from gurus, meditation masters, yogis who were teaching me particular types of breathing. So it is a collection of different things. Some people are not going to like that because it's not exactly the same way that everybody did it. But I got to tell you, these types of methods where you don't just, pardon my French, but half-ass take things and shove them together, but you have a deeper understanding of certain practices and then you bring them together, you have a very powerful form of cross training all under the guise of Qigong that can be extremely transformative. And that's exactly what I've created. So, without any further ado, let's take a brief look at chapters 3 and 4. And by the way, once we get past 3 and 4, we're going to get to 5 and 6. Things are going to ramp up. This is all kind of like the introduction. So, this is a play on words, okay? Because if you look this up in physics, energy does not equal power, but I did a little play on words with my title. Energy equals power. What I mean by that is If you have energy, you have power. If you do not have energy, forget about it. You have no power. And even think about your batteries at home. If they don't have any charge, if they don't have any energy, guess what? No power. They're not going to run the equipment that you have in your house. Okay, it's just not going to happen. So energy equals power. The quote that I used here, which I like a lot. As I mentioned previously, I grew up, I saw Tony Robbins on TV. I didn't even know what he did. I didn't know who he was. My grandparents had it on the television. I looked and I said, that's exactly what I'm going to do when I grow up. He had somebody breaking through a piece of wood. I wasn't even taking martial arts at the time. I was like, I'm going to do all of this. Anyway, here we are today. So I was happy to put a quote here from Tony Robbins, and I very much relate to this. So I told you earlier when I walked into my first martial arts master's school, I was like, I'm going to master this. I'm going to become a master of martial art, Qigong, whatever all this is. Anyway, that's what I've been doing ever since. So Tony Robbins says, one reason so few of us achieve what we really want, or sorry, one reason so few of us achieve what we truly want is that we never direct our focus. We never concentrate our power. Most people dabble their way through life, never deciding to master anything in particular. All right. Now, Qigong to me and martial art to me, these are practices and there are levels to the practice. So, like, for example, in our certification program, currently we have levels 1 through 5. In Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, for example, you have levels 1 through 5: white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt. And then you have levels beyond that once you get your black belt. And these denotations are not just like, oh, hey, you've been here for 6 months. We're going to give you this belt. There are certain things that one needs to accomplish. So whenever somebody comes to me and says, oh, yeah, I know Qigong, I've done Qigong, somebody will say, oh, did you know David's a Qigong master? He travels the country and he teaches Qigong. He's also a medical Qigong practitioner and he treats people, so on and so forth. Him and his wife offer these continuing education programs. And they go, oh, yeah, I've done Qigong. I've been to the seminars. And you can tell they don't do it anymore. You can tell they put in a certain amount of time and then they walked away from it. And that's most appropriate, to each his own. But if we want to see certain results, there's a certain degree of mastery that we need to have. So it's not going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen in 6 months. And if you're looking for that, and it might happen in 6 months, the first level of something might happen in 6 months. But if you're looking for something that you're going to do in one weekend and just be done with it, this probably isn't for you. This is more of a life path. There's something incredibly exhilarating and exciting about the fact that I can spend my lifetime practicing these things and never know it all. And yet at the same time, while I'm learning, making myself younger in the process, that's pretty amazing. More energized in the process, that's pretty amazing. So anyway, that's what turns me on about it. Again, the simple idea here with chapter 3 is the more energy that we can gather in all of the different ways in which we do it, the more power we're going to have, and the more influence, that also means influence, we're going to have in the life that's going on around us. Okay? So the more we have confidence, the more we have courage, the more we have energy, the more that we're going to be able to influence the things that are going on around us. So in one of these chapters, and I believe it's this one here in chapter 3, I can see right here that I'm talking a little bit about standing in horse stance. I'm talking about the lower belly, the lower dantian. But one of the things I say somewhere here along the way is that every single thing that you do either adds to your energy system or takes away from it. Every single thing. Okay. So that means your words. That means, and if you haven't seen that, I referenced that in my book. If you haven't seen Dr. Emoto's work on what happens when you speak the word love over your water versus a cursing word over your water, in that petri dish, watch what happens to the molecular structure. Well, when you realize that your brain is like 60, 70% water, your body is like 60, 70% water, rough estimate there, for the different parts of the body, you start realizing, man, I can't just curse over my water. I can't and expect to be healthy. I can't just be mumbling negative stories. If I have an issue with my knee, I can't just focus on my knee and start saying all this negative stuff about it and telling all my friends about it. These are the kind of things that I get into in my book because I feel like it's a disservice. If I teach you some Qigong exercises, but then I don't teach you how to live your life outside of Qigong class, and how to have the right mindset, how to walk, how to talk, how to think. If I don't teach you how to do that, then I've done you a disservice because any energy that you gather during a Qigong class that I teach you, for example, and you go back out there into the world and you walk that energy and walk that attitude back out into the world, you're just going to deplete that energy and then it's gone. I didn't teach you anything. I didn't teach you enough. Okay. So anyway, that's why I get into a lot of these things in my book. All right. So, and one of the things, there was a negative comment, for example, on, you can still read it. It's on Amazon. It's all right. Not everybody understands you and not everybody understands me and so on. So anyway, one of the comments was another stupid book on positive thinking. So that was the comment. So this is not a book on positive thinking, although I can kind of see what the person was saying, but it's more about how you think over your body and how you speak over your body and how you walk your body and the posture with which you hold when you're standing there in your body, how you breathe when you move your body, all of these kinds of things. That's more of what I was getting at. That person, I don't think, read far enough along in the book, but that's okay. Maybe later. All right, chapter 4. All right, healing. Uh, Jiddu Krishnamurti was a teacher from India, and he was a teacher actually that Bruce Lee was very interested in because Jiddu was very much against systems, um, creating systems, having systems, the system, and so on. And even though I believe in a certain degree of a system, a little bit. Even Bruce Lee had a little bit of a system in that he had sort of what was he considered his martial art. And even though Jiddu Krishnamurti wouldn't call his teachings a system, they kind of became a system because they're his teachings. But the bigger picture is that they both were against limiting ourselves to like one way or one path or one system. And as I told you earlier, I'm very much all about that. That's just kind of how my personality is. So anyway, I chose a Jiddu quotation for this chapter. Find out for yourself what are the possessions and ideals that you do not desire. By knowing what you do not want, by elimination, you will unburden the mind, and only then will it understand the essential which is ever there. This particular quotation references the idea, which is an idea within Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, some other different types of meditation practices and disciplines, and so on. The idea that healing is a process of subtraction, it's not a process of addition. So the idea is that there's a true nature, for example, they would say in Buddhism, that lives within you. Okay. And we have to sort of clean away the dirt. We have to clean away the mud. We got to go take a shower. We got to go wash things off. And then we'll find the depth that is there underneath it all. And Qigong, in that regard, you can think of these practices that we do, movement practices and breathing. It's very much like actually washing and sponging our body. And that's why in some of these pictures and so on within the book, you'll see me standing, for example, if I can find one real quick. Otherwise, I'll save it for the next. It's funny when you want to find a picture. There it is. You sometimes can't find one, but they're in there. There's a picture of me standing in a river back in Boulder, Colorado, and literally I could have some soap here and I'd be washing my arm and washing my body. Qigong is very much a form and a practice of purification and cleansing. So in Japanese martial arts, we call it misoji, and this idea of purification. So Qigong is very much a form of purification. You can read more about that in chapter 4 if you desire. So thanks for tuning in. We'll be moving on to chapter 5 soon.